Okay, so this is the 19th of June. This is the last reporting out of e-learning 5 by the honors group. And I'm Joel Zivelman, and we're going to be answering the 4 questions asked to address at the end of this program. I'm going to start by asking John Mahoney to address question number 1. John, question number 1 is how will you and your group align SLOs to the course content of these 4 courses?
Right. So we're thinking about the student learning objectives from different levels and different layers. So first of all, there are the sets of student learning objectives that we have embedded into these 4 seminar courses that meet specific GE student learning objectives. So we're going to look at those, and in addition to those what we think are more general student learning objectives, we're also going to have some course-specific student learning objectives, and those will be specific to the individual seminars. And one of the things that we'll try to do is make sure that for some of the learning objectives that we're featuring in these courses, that we're going to be able to revisit them in more than one course. And the idea is that we're going to be able to create the content in the courses so that students can be introduced and can actually have some practice at these objectives that we think are important to the course. So ultimately, we think that we're going to be able to use the learning objectives to create connections among the courses and develop the sorts of knowledge and skills that we think are important for us to accomplish.
And we're really at an advantage here having 4 instructors with 4 courses that are required of all 4 students over a 24-month period.
Right.
We think we can see some innovation in terms of how we're going to be doing our outcomes assessment that we might not have had if we were just talking about freestanding courses.
Right. So in a certain sense, we're thinking about the honor seminars, the beauty, truth, virtue, and nature, as in essence a single course or a super seminar, if you will. And it does give us some interesting challenges, but I think it also provides us with a significant amount of contact with the students and sufficient time to try to accomplish some of these goals.
Okay.
So one of our challenges, and actually one of our requirements, is that we're going to have to do an assessment on the courses that we're developing or actually creating as part of the new honors curriculum. And so I guess the question is, or the question I have for Zanja is, how we plan to connect the course SLOs to the assessment that we'll be doing in these seminars.
Well, we in general, I think we all agree that we are big fans of embedded assessment. Mm-hmm. So we are going to try to build in perhaps common rubrics that can be used for the types of assessments that will work in all the different courses. One idea in particular that I think we will be doing is a pre-test, post-test model. Mm-hmm. Given that we have these sort of various levels of SLOs, including GE SLOs, honors SLOs, these 4 course-specific SLOs, and then for each course-specific SLOs, mm-hmm. We'll be able to give the students pre- and post-tests that incorporate some of the SLOs from all these different levels of the hierarchy, and thus allow us to track over time, over the course of these 4 semesters, how students' attitudes are changing, how their knowledge is changing.
Right. So perhaps how many semesters does it take to get a student to understand relativism?
I'll let you know when I'm done.
Okay, that sounds great.
Maybe I'll figure it out sometime. And I think those are the main ideas that we talked about so far, as far as how we're going to be doing our assessment.
Okay. All right, thanks.
All right, Heather, our next question is about how we are going to facilitate and implement the redesign that we've been working on so far.
Well, aside from our 3 weeks in e-learning, we're going to be setting up some short assignments to figure out exactly how the progression of the SLOs will look. So we'll also be meeting in our faculty learning communities on a regular basis. In fact, the beauty group has already met twice, and we plan to meet approximately once every 3 weeks to a month until school starts. We'll also be meeting frequently throughout the year so that we can be figuring out how we're going to set up those objectives.
I remember you saying something earlier about a dinner party of some sort?
Dinner,
How's that gonna work?
retreat.
Oh, retreat, of course.
Retreat.
Mhm.
All business, no pleasure.
Mhm.
What I was hoping to do at the very beginning of the semester, or perhaps even a week before the semester, is to set up an evening at my house and invite all 16 honors faculty to come and talk about some of the objectives, some of the things that the four of us have come up with. We'll be able to look at the website and have faculty talk about the long-term goals of the course in a deeper way as a whole group, all 16 of us. So the first 8 of us who will be launching in fall, and then the 8 will be following up in the spring. Dr. Zimbelman, what does your team plan to anticipate in terms of piloting the course and what's taught in the fall?
Yeah, we don't believe in pilots. We think that...
This isn't Seinfeld.
Yeah, we think we want to go right into it. We're going to be launching right away in the fall. In 5 weeks, these courses are going to be up and running. So
5 weeks.
So we're forget about the piloting. We're going cold right into the middle of it. We'll be starting with beauty and nature this fall, and truth and virtue in the spring. And the idea is that everything we've been talking about is going to be fully integrated and operationalized by the 20th of August when we start. So, I think that's a done deal. And you got any other questions you want to?
Well, there you have it. That's our ambitious, foolhardy plan offered up by Dr. Zimbelman. And
Now let's talk about some of the real problems.
Let's talk about some of the problems.
Let's talk about the other issues that we think we're going to face.
So the problems are that we have a new model of large group and small group that we are serve as coordinators, but we each have 3 other faculty to deal with in a reasonable way. We're going to have
reasonable.
Well, we're going to try to be reasonable. We have the issues of how we're going to do the writing assignments and the grading from large group to small group. The students are going to be jerked back and forth to a certain extent in terms of what they experience. And yet we hope that we're going to be able to use the large groups to model some of the oral communication skills, the panel discussions, the debates that we would like to then bring into the small groups. So
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, this is we're in a sense in the driver's seat for the first part of the week when we've got 90 to 100 kids in the class. We're then turning this over. We'll each take a section, but there will be 3 other people, as you say, doing other sections, and those folks aren't necessarily living in our classrooms on Tuesdays.
That's true.
And so we've got a lot of communication to worry about.
Yeah.
I think another issue, and I thought this really, I didn't think it was going to be an issue until we had a session today with Chris Fosen for 4 hours, and I realized that the sequencing of writing, meaningful sequencing,
Right.
and sequencing so that we don't get overloaded
Right.
on our writing is going to be absolutely crucial.
Mhm.
And I would also say, because we're four courses and every one of us will see every one of these kids, we have to be sure that we're building expectation properly. And that's going to take a lot of serious thinking about what writing we're assigning, what kind of feedback we're getting, and how we're moving kids from your beauty class to your truth class, and then back into the second year system of courses.
And then, of course, there's the other challenge, which is that there's no one sequence, one order that they're going to take these courses
Right.
in. So we have to be able to develop it in a way that it'll work no matter how you move the pieces around.
It's going to be very challenging, but it can be done.
And the assignments have to look varied enough from class to class that the students don't figure out the game plan early on and decide that they've got it covered and they don't have to put effort in after they've taken 2 of these. So I think we have some challenges in scaffolding and assignment sequence that doesn't necessarily end up being sequential.
Yeah, I think what I've really benefited from in these 3 weeks, and in addition to our conversations about the curriculum, is I think a better understanding and perhaps a deeper appreciation of how we can use some of the tools in the Blackboard Learn environment and some of the other ways of bringing in technology so that we can still have control over it and use it in a limited but meaningful way. And I can see where that's going to help us accomplish things that can free up class time so that we can do things in the class where we can take some of the normal class activities, put them online or on web, to a certain extent, flipping the classroom, and we'll probably all do that in different ways. And I think the other area that's been extraordinarily useful for me has been the attention to the writing component. Because I'm a strong believer that if we can do something of value added for our students, it would be to help them improve their writing. And I think that we've really looked at a lot of interesting techniques and a lot of interesting approaches, and I have a renewed enthusiasm for the sorts of writing activities and assignments that I'm going to do for the Nature Seminar.
I'll follow up on that with the issue of assessment. I actually don't have a renewed energy for assessment, but I do see it as being important to what we're doing, and I do think that the time that we spent with AeL really did give us some insights in how we can construct longitudinal assessment over 4 courses in ways that nobody else gets to do.
Right.
It's not about programmatic assessment, it's about longitudinal assessment of specific issues that are going to be picked up in all these courses. And our ability to track people through is going to, I think, going to be really, there's going to be great possibilities for that.
Right. I agree. Okay. Well, thank you.
It was great talking to you guys, and I hope to see you at Heather's Park.